And welcome to yet another episode of the Three Speech Pod. I'm a mad lad of Jihad, the Persian Nightmare, the Ayatollah of rock and roller. We're coming to you just, I think, 4 days out from the US elections. I'm joined today by Mr. Hate Speech himself, Mr. Leo Curse. Welcome back to the pod. And
get vaxxed and boosted.
Yeah, get triple boosted. And joining me once again is Mr. Jussie P or Peanuts, whichever you want to be called.
She's garbage.
Listen, there are a lot of garbage Nazis. Just before we get... Man, this week's been crazy. Is it worse to call Puerto Ricans garbage or half the country garbage? Which is worse?
I guess it depends which ones you're trying to get to vote for you. I don't think Puerto Ricans can vote in the American election yet. I mean, I guess they could if they just turned up in America. Then it'd automatically get American citizenship, like all the Haitians who are just getting dumped on. Man, you know what Kamala is doing? You know what the Democrats are doing? This is why this election is so important. I think Elon Musk has spoken about this. They're just bringing in like tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people and dumping them in the swing states like Ohio and Pennsylvania and stuff. So then those people are going to vote Democrat. It's going to be like, you know how California was a Republican state and now it's totally Democrat. It's because Ronald Reagan, which was a really dumb decision for a Republican, he gave like amnesty to all these like millions of immigrants who are living in California, and that meant they could all vote, and then they all like vote against the Republicans now. They all vote for the Democrats.
And now it's like and that's what they're saying might happen just in general. It'll become a one-party country because the numbers will be so overwhelmed. I was watching...
I'm no historian, but I believe that's exactly what happened in Cyprus. It was either Greece or Turkey just moved loads of people from whichever country there, and then they said, let's have a referendum. And they all voted to... And apparently that's exactly what they did there. They sort of gave them not like an Israeli right of homecoming, but they gave them... I think they gave them monetary incentives to move there and then got them to block vote. It's obviously... Yeah. I said this to Darius on the Patreon. If you think that this open border, complete unfettered immigration to America and the argument about not needing voter ID are unrelated, you're mental. That's exactly what it is, isn't it? They're like, oh, yeah. And also, let's move with these people and let's just not have to prove that we're citizens. It's just completely a scam, isn't it?
Yeah, totally. So anybody can just rock up, but it's backfiring against them because loads of like sort of right-wing people from around the world are flying into America. Like when people are rich, so they can afford the flight, so they're flying into America and voting in different places.
Well, I was thinking that we could literally just go and vote. That's how easy it is. It's like wait a minute. People can say, wait a minute, we can do it too. This is what the left wing don't. It's something the right wing. Wait a minute, we can also illegally vote. So I saw loads of memes online of like 4chaners. So I'm going in from Canada to vote, and they voted Trump. But
America's the only country in the world.
You know the BLM. You know what BLM they brought through body cams for police. They said, we need to have body cams on the police to catch all the incidences of police being horribly racist. So they stuck body cams on the police. And pretty much all they catch is people as like, black people being shit to the police instead of the other way around.
But body cam. Well, you know what? So actually, this is funny. Last week we had Rick on the pod, and I think he basically he wound up a lot of our listeners. Let's put it that way, because he was like he couldn't deny that asking for vote. He was like, no, voter ID is racist, and we're like, how is it? How everyone's got ID? It's racist to say asking for voter ID is racist. The only reason you wouldn't have it is if you're planning to cheat. And it's the same with the body cam. It's like, put body cams on. All right, okay, good. It's a good thing for everyone. So it's funny that happened.
Yeah, and this idea that, because I've seen this a lot from Democrats, they're like, but it's racist to have like technology get in the way, or it's racist to have voter ID. It's the bigotry of low expectations. They're basically saying, black people can't be expected to have ID. It's like, of course, black people can have ID. Look at Kanye West. How do you think he got to Venice to get sucked off in that gondola?
Is that new? I haven't seen this. Is this a new gondola suck off video?
No, that was a while back. I don't even know if it was Venice, but he definitely got sucked off in a boat.
Man, well, the point is everyone's got, like, I think I think there's a poll done between Democrats, Republicans, all party. Like 75% of people say obviously voter ID should be required. So it's genuinely.
And also, if you can't get ID, if you're not responsible enough to get ID, should you be able to vote? It's literally quite a bare minimum thing, isn't it?
Yeah. And this
It's like, how fucking
vote...
off grid are you that you haven't got ID?
Yeah.
Because in America, you have to have it. You have to have it.
Yeah, to like rent a DVD or something, you need ID.
You're not meant to go on
You
the
want to
street
rent a car, you got to have various
when they
kinds
put
of
them over in a
ID.
car, it's always like license and ID. Like you got to have it on you at all times.
Well, not even that. You need.
Even the Democrat convention. So the Democrat convention.
That's the best example.
You had a big wall around it, and you had to have ID to get in. It's like all people want for the country is like the same safety, security requirements as the Democrat convention. But the Democrats are like, no, this is just for us. No, you people don't need this security.
Yeah, it's crazy. The only reason it's there is for cheating. That's the only way it can possibly be. There's no other reason for not having it. And I was watching. Apparently, the Democrats are now they removed, like they said, it was illegal for immigrants to be registered on the voting list if they're not citizens, and that was taken off a thing, so they couldn't vote. And the Democrats are lobbying and going through the law to let these illegal immigrants back on to vote. Like they're not even hiding that they intend to cheat. It's crazy how sinister the Democrats are acting with regards to the voting.
ABC, so this big news channel, it's Democrat aligned. Well, they're all Democrat aligned pretty much, but it ran this thing saying Kamala had won. It was basically they're preparing all the graphics and stuff for Tuesday for the results coming in, and the results they had like Kamala winning like 52 and Trump got 47, which is obviously a sort of plausible thing that they're gonna present as like this is Trump winning. This is Kamala winning. It's like they're already getting ready for the lie. Yeah,
It's
there it
here.
is.
It's here. Harris
Sparking wild conspiracy theories. It's like, well, that's not conspiracy theory. They've literally done it.
They're doing it right now. It's not. It's in front of us. It's a conspiracy theory that Joe Biden called half the population garbage. It's on video.
No, he had Darius. He's got a stutter. It clearly had an apostrophe that he stuttered out of it. Did you see that?
That's what the what's her name, Karine Le Pen or whatever her name is. He didn't say that. So here's a video of him saying that. Well, maybe he did say it. But that's
happened with the newspapers, isn't it? Like some of the newspapers have just said, "Oh, we're not going to endorse anyone because they don't want to endorse the Democrats." What's happened? Some of the newspapers have withdrawn from the whole thing, haven't they?
The Washington Post, which is basically a left-leaning Democrat paper, have refused like all of them, have refused, well, except for the New York Post, have refused to endorse Kamala Harris, which is basically a tacit endorsement of Donald Trump.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. She's so shit. What about that thing when she told everyone to chant their own name? Have you seen that?
Yeah, it's incredibly awkward.
As a stand-up,
Did you not see Kamala Harris at the right?
That Washington Post thing is interesting because all Jeff Bezos has just said we're not going to endorse a candidate, and then all his writers are being like, this is political bias, and like all these people are cancelling their subscriptions, being like, this is political bias. It's like it's the opposite of political bias. They're not endorsing a candidate.
It's impartial.
They're just staying neutral.
Yeah.
But they know it's a tacit endorsement. Apparently, they've lost over 200,000 subscribers because of that.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's like the amount of money that they've lost. I can't remember how much it works out to, but it's like, it's in the tens of millions. But I read this article that said, like, that's a fraction of what Amazon makes every day. So, like, Jeff Bezos doesn't give a shit. He's just
that's
like,
trouble,
yeah.
Isn't it?
And also, long term, probably more people will subscribe to the paper, and also the advertising will be worth more because, like, right wing people have got more money because they got their shit together.
But you know what though? I think the problem. I think the reason Bezos has done this is because clearly he's realized, and if they haven't, they should, that the legacy media, as it's called, is just dead. Like, even the people who really believed, no one even believes it now. No one believes it. Like, you've ruined it so much that not even the most James Ross, like psychopathic left, that even they don't believe it. No one believes anything. That's why everyone's like, I just watched the Joe Rogan and Trigonometry guys. Actually, I just did watch Rogan, Trump, then in between Francis and Constantine, and then JD Vance. Those were the 3 podcasts in a row. And I'm like, well, we're like this far away from the president of the United States. Like, if we wanted to, somehow, some way, we could probably get hold of Donald Trump. But it was interesting.
Oh yeah, I could get a message to him.
Imagine that, Leo getting a message. Actually, weren't you writing some of the jokes for his roast for that Catholic dinner?
Yeah, I got asked to contribute jokes. I don't know, like, 'cause I didn't know it was for that roast. I didn't know it was for the Al something dinner. I can't remember what it's called, but it's this like famous like
Catholic one.
roast
No, you know they do, but they do it every year. That every presidential election they do this dinner hosted by Catholics for Catholics, and both presidential candidates go and they roast each other. And
Kamala didn't go.
Didn't even turn up, which is insulting to the Catholic community. And then just put in like literally the worst SNL shit sketch you could ever do. But you wrote.
Yes.
Did you not see this, Justin?
No.
Oh, it was crazy.
I saw her do that chant your own name thing. I could not watch it. It's so bad.
Yeah, and everybody's like, what?
Everyone's going, yeah, we love you. She's going, yeah, I chant you. And everyone's like, what the fuck? Like, even her supporters, as soon as she opens her mouth, they're like, oh shit. It's like back in the dud, isn't it?
She's useless. But Leo was asked to write jokes for Donald Trump. They were, and I read them. They were good.
Yeah. I just wrote them from. I thought they were going to go in like, you know, basically sort of, as rallies or whatever. So I was writing them from that perspective. But yeah, like, I don't know if any. I don't think any of them actually got used. I might have actually got them through too late to be used for that thing. So I didn't know. I didn't have a deadline, and I didn't know what it was for.
Some of them were good, but that's crazy how close we are to the power of the United States. But when they sent them, did they give a review? They just said we might use them, or what was the actually, how much were they going to pay for them?
Oh, I didn't ask for any money. This is purely, man. This is to save the civilized world. This is to stop America sliding into communism. I want to move to America, so I don't want America to be the Soviet Union when I get there.
I saw an interesting tweet that Elon did, which I agree with, where he went, our immigration system is backwards. It's harder for talented people to come into America than it is like it's hard for like I remember when I moved there, so like we had to jump through so many hoops, and like it's like you've got the thing, and it's so difficult for a British person to go there. But if you just want to go over the border, you can just stroll in. So it's hard things to do that.
If we just went there and said we were like Iraqi or Somalian or something.
Well, I genuinely think they'd have to let you in, but the reason you wouldn't or couldn't do that is because you've got a family, you've got a background, you've got
Do they not want to fill their prisons? Do you ever think that might be the conspiracy? Because their prison system is like basically a modern day slave trade, where they just make loads of money off them. They're like factories, and is that why they want criminals?
Yeah, but they're not putting them. But they're not putting those criminals in prison. That's the problem. That's what they want.
Their kids will be in the prisons. You got to think of the future, Darius. You need to make sure you've got a constant, steady flow of prisoners coming in. Well, bloody Northerners abolishing slavery will fuck them up, innit? That's what they would say. Because apparently they're prisoners. They just don't pay them anything, and they make like license plates and office furniture and stuff like that. Apparently the economy would collapse without it. That's what I heard.
I think that's true.
People do documentaries about it, but yeah, I mean, the thing is, all the documentaries are like, "Oh, this is so terrible and exploitative," but then you look at it and it's like, well, you got these people who are committing crimes and stuff. It's like, shouldn't society be making some money off them?
Of course, you should. I think when you're making a lot of GDP from prisoners, there is an impetus then to imprison people that maybe shouldn't be in prison. But that would be the argument.
Oh yeah, no, I guess there is, but yeah. Like
that three-strike thing.
It's not huge, but it's not like a sort of big amount of GDP compared to the country. It's like a tiny fraction of the country's GDP. But yeah, I just think, man, people are all like, "Oh, this is so exploitative," and "Oh, this is blah blah blah." It's like you can avoid it by this one little trick. don't commit crime. Have you tried not committing crime? Then you don't go to prison. You don't have to make number plates.
Yeah, but Leo, have you ever considered crime is fun? Have you ever considered that option? But here's the thing, though. The irony of this, of that policy of putting 3 strikes and you're out, and like imprisoning people ever as slave labor. You know who made that legal ruling? Whose policy that is? It's a Democrat policy. And Kamala Harris was the worst one for it, where she would imprison guys. There's literally a campaign video of guys. He got in prison for like smoking a spliff or something, and she just kept them in, refused to let them out because that she was the governor of California or whatever she was, or the state prosecutor. Leo's gone.
Did you see where they, like they were saying, this Madison Square Garden rally is reminiscent of the 1930s fascist rally? And apparently, like Obama and Clinton and all these people had rallies that looked exactly the same. They've just forgotten all that and gone, oh, look at all these Nazis. But it's like, it's just a political rally. Because that about any rally.
Is that a Madison Square Garden thing? Was it MSNBC? They literally showed a picture of Trump's rally. And then they were like, do you know who else had a rally there in like 1939 or something? And they're like...
Yeah, but they left out that like Clinton did.
Nazis had a rally there. It's like there's been other uses for that venue in between 1939 and fucking now. You know what I mean?
But did you go and see Louis C.K. at the Madison Square? Do you know who else went to see someone at Madison Square Garden? Goebbels.
But the best thing about the ABC News was it was like the mostly peaceful riot meme. It's like Nazi rally, and there's a big Israel flag in the background, and it was like because there's loads of Israelis there supporting them. So
do you not think it's funny that the people that seem to scream everyone's a Nazi and a modern day Nazi and fascist are also the people that want to eradicate Israel off the face of the earth? It's the same people. Yeah, that doesn't seem to make any sense.
I mean, but the word Nazi now just means nothing. It's like you've devalued.
They've overdone that.
You've devalued Nazi, and actually, if I was Jewish, I'd be offended that you're invoking the Holocaust and Nazis when you're referring to like half the population voting and just wanting better economy and stuff.
So unsubtle with spin. Like I watch the way that you go online now and you look at 2 different news outlets covering the same story from completely different angles. And like the way they sort of like spin, it's just so unsubtle now. I don't know. Is it just that with the dumbing down, they've got more clunky and heavy-handed, or is it as you get older and you've seen more of it, you're more wise to it? But you used to have like spin doctors, like was it Alistair Campbell and that, but now it's so fucking obvious. It's like just calling everyone a Nazi and saying this is like a fascist rally, and everyone's like, no, it's not. Who's buying it, basically?
Why am I on this side of the screen now?
Because I didn't move it. I pressed. You came on late, and I didn't know if you were in, so I put you add left, and now you've gone to the other side of the screen. But if I touch it, it's going to mess everything up. So I've been warned by Justin not to press anything. So that's why you're on the other side of the screen.
I think that was a good fair warning, because it follow every time you touch something, you get 12 minutes of you staring into the camera like a fucking dope, and it's like find the lady, everything just shuffles around.
Yeah, it's hard. What did you think of?
It's entertaining,
man. That Tony Hinchcliffe joke. Everyone's gone mad, but you know what was interesting was Mark Maron came out. Did you see what he said about it?
Yeah.
What a bitch. What were you saying, Justin?
I thought that was about Rogan having Trump on.
No, it was about I thought it was about the Tony Hinchcliffe joke, wasn't it? Or maybe it was about.
What did he say? What did Mark Maron say?
I think he meant all of it.
I'm trying to find him now. Hold on. Why don't you have a look at his posts? Hold on. See if I can find it. There's a big
classic free speech search for a link.
Here it is.
Podcast experience.
This is I found it.
Find a link.
I found the link. It's quite long. I'll read it.
This is me off about this. He's posted a screenshot, and it's Twitter. You can just write the fucking text. Just write the text.
Darius, it says here, when comedians with podcasts have shameless, self-proclaimed white supremacists and fascists on their show to joke around like that, maybe he does mean the...
Darius.
I'm not a white supremacist and fascist. I'm a beige supremacist and fascist. There's a total difference. It's
Weren't
just
Iranians the first Aryans or something?
it's hilarious. Iranians, Aryan comes from the word Iranian. So you speak to Gobad, you've seen him. My dad, he's brown, right? And he's like,
Yeah.
I'm white. I don't think you are. Because I had purebred. Aryan, I am Hitler's dream. I'm like, I'm not sure you do. I think that's, but they believe they're the original Aryans. Maybe if anyone knows anything about Persia and Iran, they can tell us. But yeah, Iranians think they're Aryans. I never know what to put on a drop-down menu. It's like, what are we? I don't know. Madness. But this is Mark Maron's tweet. It's just fucking the anti-woke flank of the new fascism is being driven almost exclusively by comics, my peers. Whether or not they are self-serving or true believers in the new fascism is unimportant. They are
It's
of the
fascism.
What did I say?
Fascism.
Same thing.
It's Fatima.
Allah. Whether they see themselves as acolyte or just comics doesn't matter. Whether they're driven by the idea that they are fighting for as a free speech issue or whether they are truly morally bankrupt racist doesn't matter. They are part of the public face of a fascist political movement that seeks to destroy the democratic idea. It's the Democrats weaponizing the legal system. It's the Democrats who say you can't have disinformation.
This is Darius speaking now, not Mark Maron.
Yeah, this is me speaking. The Democrats wanting disinformation, misinformation to censor speech. It's the Democrats who care so much about democracy that they want to say that no voter ID is needed to protect democracy. And apparently in California, like, it's almost an arrestable offense if you have if you show them voter ID. It's absolutely crazy how much I feel just watching on that the left is gaslighting the right.
Perverted. It's all been inverted,
and also,
isn't it?
Yeah, the word fascism has completely lost any meaning. It's got a specific meaning. It's when, like, was it Mussolini that said, everything is the state, nothing but the state. So fascism is like this sort of grand authoritarianism, usually with a sort of militarized population, like you've got with the Democrats and Antifa. Antifa are the sort of street militia of the Democrats, and also control of all the institutions, even the courts and the judges and things like that. And that's really what the Democrats are pushing for. They're pushing through all these laws that restrict people's freedoms. Like Darius was saying, the misinformation laws. Same things happen in the in fact, we're probably further along in the UK. And the control of all the media, the fourth estate that's supposed to hold the government to account. All the media, all the mainstream media, CNN, MSNBC, all of that in America is Democrat aligned. There's only a few outlets that push back against the narrative, and they get condemned as fascist or
If you came from another planet, like an alien, and you came down and watched for a bit, and they said, "What do you think fascism means?" They'd say, "Fascism means contrary to the mainstream opinion." That's all it means now. Like the big machine, and it doesn't mean any. It's not even. It's not even.
It's completely opposite to what fascism is about. Control. Subsume. Everybody gets subsumed into the state, and the state controls everything.
Same as communism, isn't it?
What the right want is individual freedoms, individual property rights, the freedom of speech. All these things that underpin democracy and a thriving economy and civilization. And the Democrats want to snuff all that out and have communism.
Yeah, I think that was what shocked me about last week's with Rick, is how much they just want to be absorbed. They want to have the state just put their arms around them, and I find that authoritarian and scary. I don't find that comforting at all. I think I freak out. I get claustrophobic. I think that's probably the way I would describe it. I feel like I find it really claustrophobic, all this government overreach, and some people seem to really crave it. I think it's just how you're wired.
They got this utopian idea that the government's just going to be frictionlessly efficient and just incredibly beneficent to everybody and take care of them and do what's best. But it's not. The government's run by people. It's people, and also the people in the public sector tend not to be the best, the sharpest, brightest people. They've all got their own interests. They all got their own desires. So they're going to abuse that system, and especially if there's no balance, if there's nothing providing oversight or accountability, there's no fourth estate questioning them, there's no courts that they can be held to account in, then it's like the Stasi. They're gonna abuse their position to rape and steal money and get what they want.
And lie about it.
I'm gonna say I'm quite open-minded. So if someone could post or show me one example in human history of this going well, like a government. If someone could go, oh no, actually, during this period in this country, the government took control of everything, and it didn't end up with gulags and fucking whatever. Do you know what I mean? Just if you could show me an example of that working in the past, I don't know why. This is the thing. It feels like they keep beating their head, going, "Oh, in the future, it'd be so much better if the government controlled everything." Although every time that has happened, it's led to fucking horrific disaster. So I don't know what
I guess the few examples there are, like Bukele in El Salvador. He's pretty much a sort of dictator. He controls pretty much everything. He's got a huge amount of power in the country and not much accountability. But he's doing a good job. But the thing is, man, he's eventually the trap they fall into without some sort of democratic system to replace them or hold them to account or anything. Eventually. They curdle. Look what happened to Putin. Putin started off,
it hasn't played out yet.
Resurrected the Russian economy, but then without any sort of democratic process to topple him, eventually they sort of calcify and just become paranoid. And everybody wants power, and it all becomes about holding on to power. And then people start getting their fingernails pulled out.
But he is doing a good job at the moment. Bukele.
He's done is coming and just
Bukele.
He's doing a pretty good job.
Isn't he just coming and just throwing all the gang people in prison? It's like, that is a works, but you got to see how it plays out.
Well, but here's how. But Bukele's interesting because actually, I think the writing's on the wall that it can only go kind of from here into a kind of like dictatorship, because he's thrown them all in prison, and all the people are like, yeah, get them all. But some of them, they're just in prison just because they have a tattoo. They've actually not done any. Well, they've not actually been seen caught doing a crime, but because they've got gang tattoos, they've gone in prison. But here's another thing they've done. If you're in prison in El Salvador, they made these giant. I watched a documentary about giant, huge prisons. They don't give you any meat. There's no. They give you. He's come on. He goes, I don't think it's right that there's people who are working eating less. Who eat worse than prisoners. So the prisoners just get like gruel, which I actually think is a good idea. It's like, okay, yeah, they're getting punished for their crimes, but you can see, apparently El Salvador now is like, it's like gone from the most dangerous country.
Just chuck people in prison on a whim, and then he'll start going, oh, I'm just going to chuck all my political opponents in prison as well. That's the danger, isn't it? If I just get to be judge, jury, and executioner, or sentencer rather, I'll just start chucking everyone who disagrees with me in there. You've got to watch it play out. It never works out.
On the Rogan podcast with Francis and Constantine, Francis ironically said, I was dating a girl from El Salvador and she was a journalist, and apparently Bukele now, if there's a story he disagrees with in the paper, he'll just send a few people around and go, I'm not sure that's as flattering as I'd like it to be. So you can just see that's the way to go. But I think dictator...
You're still more free than in Britain.
Yeah, well,
yeah, probably. At least it's sort of like not covert. Do you know what I mean? At least it's over and it's where you stand. That's the thing here. They go, yeah, you can tweet whatever you want, and then they come and kick your fucking door in.
Well, it's not even
tweet whatever you want, but if you tweet something critical of the government at the wrong time, oh my god, 3 years in jail. But like Peter Lynch, who died in jail, man, he got 2 years, 2 years and 8 months, like huge sentence. He was just standing, he was shouting some stuff. He was shouting at the police, calling them scum and child killers, and he had a placard saying the government's corrupt. So, all right, you shouldn't shout nasty stuff at the police, but everything on that placard was pretty much correct and just what you'd read in the papers most days.
Let's get into that. There seems to be...
He died in prison. And this...
One at a time. Let Leo finish his point.
This is the thing, man, because we're supposed to have all these institutions that protect us and provide some sort of balance. So what we're seeing, or what I'm hearing, is that duty solicitors, magistrates, all the rest of it, we're getting briefed to push these rioters' sentences through, to advise the rioters to plead guilty, and then give them massive sentences. It's to try and dissuade other people from rioting, because it's if you do something that could potentially overthrow the government, because I don't think we're that far away from the military being called in. Like, the government was looking a little bit shaky. If you do something like that, the government absolutely hates anything that's going to threaten its grip on power. So people got ridiculous sentences for stuff like that. And anybody who pleaded not guilty, who went against the advice of their state-provided solicitor, their duty solicitor, they seem to be walking free from court because the jury, the judges are saying, well, yeah, I mean, you shouldn't have done that, but we're not sending you to jail for 3 years.
And then what's the most insane thing, if you're not from the UK, about this is the whole reason why riots and stuff and all of this kicked off was because some little girls got brutally, like 3 of them murdered, girls like 7 years old, whatever, by a Welsh Christian. That's what everyone was told. Although his name was something like Mohammed Jihad Durka, right? So people like putting 2 and 2 together. What is his actual name?
He had the classic British name of Axel Maganwa Rudakabana. And he was born in Cardiff, which makes him completely and utterly British through and through, like a stick of Blackpool rock. Honestly, if I had to name my top 3 favourite British people, or top 3 most British people in the world ever, probably Hugh Grant, the Queen, and Axel Maganwa Rudakabana. He's so British. Oh, he's so British. He was born in Cardiff.
Classic British name. Well, maybe it's a bit Welsh sounding, that name. But here's the thing: the people were told, no, this was a Welsh Christian guy. So in your mind you're thinking, some ginger Welsh dude is what they want to give the impression. People are like, this doesn't marry up, and they looked at him. No, this has got the hallmarks of Islamic terrorism, and then. The statement, no, that's impossible. If you even say that thing, we're going to hence the arrest. And now 2 months down the line, 3 months down the line, it comes out he was trying to develop ricin at home, and he had the Al-Qaeda manual. So the whole government lied, and a lot of those convictions that people got sent down for probably shouldn't stand anyway, but they've already admitted to guilt. Can they get them overturned? Like, what's the process?
That's what I was going to say. Is there a period of time where you can go back and go, it just seems like with like memory holding is such a thing. It's like say everyone was up in arms 2 months ago going, oh, and everyone was like, oh, you can't say it's misinformation. Well, it turns out what they said was misinformation. What the government said, what all the big networks said was misinformation. Are they going to go to prison? Are they going to get convicted? Are the people that are in prison going to get exonerated and let out? But it's just, 2-3 months goes by and we all just forget about it and move on. And they knew, didn't they? There's no way that like Keir Starmer, when he came out, and I thought his speech was heavy-handed and incendiary. I know some people think Rick thought he handled it well, I think. But, and it's just, he didn't say that, that's just my assumption. But it's just sort of like, is he immune from the law for peddling misinformation on the biggest of all platforms? Do you know what I mean? It's just, they're fucking, it's just everyone's treating us like mugs. It can't go on.
And the government say we're going to bring through a misinformation law, so we're going to have to trust the government to be the arbiters of what's true and what's not. And people are like, oh no, this is a good idea because there's misinformation out there.
The grown-ups.
Every stage. Look at the Hillsborough disaster. Look at the post office scandal. Look at the infected blood inquiry. How many times does the government have to fuck up before you get that, like, we can't trust the government. The government isn't infallible. And the whole foundation of Western civilization is the sort of decentralization of information and the idea that the government can be fallible. So then you question the government, you criticize the government, and you can vote them out and change the government. It's absolutely bonkers to change that, to have, the government controls all the information, decides what's true and what isn't.
Leo, where would you say, question, I got a question. Where would you say right now in the world, what country would you say, in your opinion, is like, this is a good example of how a government should lead? So that at the left, we always ask, where's it going well, and like, where's communism ever been good? But where would you say, is there any country in the world that you should say, this is a model that other countries should aspire to, where they've got the right amount of, like, what you think is government spending, taxation, and then the right amount of, like, checks and balances? Like, where would you say right now in the world is that, and you, Justin, where this is happening, would you think this is a good country to look up to and it's happening well? Is there anywhere?
Right now, the one that's going in the right direction, I mean, I would say America, but like America's kind of sliding into this soft communism. The country where I'd say they're definitely going in the right direction is Argentina. So Javier Milei came in. They've had decades of this socialist government, this the Peronists who basically bought votes like the Democrats do. They say, if you vote for us, you get like free fuel. If we give you all this stuff. So people are like, oh, free stuff, but overall, like the government doesn't generate money. It just takes money from people. So you really need the people to be making money. The state just is a parasite that lives off people. So what Javier Milei's done and Argentina was an absolute economic basket case. It went from one of the richest countries in the world to being, just a complete stultified, socialist state. There's, the economic freedom wasn't there. There's too many regulations, too many taxes, and all the rest of it. It was almost as bad as Britain. And what Javier Milei did was he came in, he's just slashed the state. He slashed all these completely unnecessary, like the Ministry for Women's Affairs and, the Arts Council and all this sort of stuff, which we should be doing in this country. The state should be really stripped back to just very minimal and essential things like military, police, I guess health service, if you're going to have that as well. And he's completely turned the country.
I think we should have the health service.
Yeah, but man, look, the NHS just isn't working. Like, it's fine to say we should have it, but like, we should have a system that works. Like in Australia, they've got, like, if you have some sort of social insurance system, it works much better. Same with the education. If you have some sort of market system where you can direct resources to the better schools, then that's a better system.
I have to say though, I mean, listen, I've used both American and the NHS, and we're so lucky to have the NHS, but there's so many.
But America isn't the gold standard.
Oh no! I'm not saying that, but I'm saying we're so like we had full insurance, everything, and to get an inhaler with insurance, you still had to pay for asthma to get an asthma inhaler $600 a month on top of.
You can't. Know what you have to pay in this country. You have to live in a fucking hovel. You're only allowed to drive like a fucking little fucking teacup car.
For someone else to have an inhaler.
You're not allowed to get an erection. You get fucking put in jail if you get an erection, or if you criticise the government, or if you have some sort of British flag anywhere.
I think you asked me that question. The only trouble is you're looking at it through the prism of the mainstream media. So I only know that Russia's bad because they tell me Russia's bad. But I'm at the point now where I do question everything. But wasn't Gaddafi era Iran good? That's what I heard.
Oh, well, Gaddafi apparently was trying to get the African and Arab countries onto something called the AFCON or something. It's going to be like the African coin, and they would trade in that. Apparently, if you lived
Bitcoin made it of coconuts.
But apparently, if you lived in Libya when Gaddafi was alive, as long as you didn't criticize him, they gave you £5,000 like straight up towards getting a new house. Your gas was paid for. It was like pretty good. And then Hillary Clinton went in, we got him. And now there's literally open. It's the Democrats went, we love black people. Now they're literally directly due to Obama and Hillary Clinton going in and doing that. They're selling actual slaves in Libya, but they don't care about no reparations for that.
Darius, what you're describing is just like you've been suckered in by the socialist dream. Like Gaddafi had all this money from oil resources, so he said to people, "Oh, I'm going to give you free stuff." But he's not. He's buying their affection. He's buying their votes. That's not a sustainable system. You need to be setting up the institutions that's going to enable a sort of a prosperous society.
But life was better under Gaddafi than it is now. Is what I'm saying.
That's what I've heard.
I don't think.
I say this. I'm not a Libyan historian, obviously.
Yeah, the sort of idiocy of the West is thinking, if we get rid of this dictator, then
we should have done
French-style
that.
Democracy is going to spring up. It's like, no, this is a tribal society. They're literal fucking medieval guys. So you're not going to get a flourishing democracy. Although there is in Tunisia.
Yeah, but you know what? But go on.
I was going to say, there's always a fucking problem. Like you say, it's like Dubai and that. They've got all these resources, and it's like, they live in this sort of like it's not my cup of tea, but this sort of modern, like utopia of opulence. But then they chuck you off the buildings and stuff if you. So there's nowhere perfect, and that's because humans are flawed. So I just think you have to give us the freedom to be ourselves and. This overarching left or right.
So high.
What's that? Sorry.
That's why they built that skyscraper so high.
Why?
Yeah, exactly. So they
People
don't
get
bounce.
like 3 minutes to the ground.
Think about what you've done. Ah!
It's
But
a
you,
sightseeing. Yeah, now you got time to think about it
said
several
it's
times
you.
over.
2.5 minutes of falling through the air.
but you know what's crazy about Dubai, right? There's no if you go to Dubai, there's no central place. If you say, "Oh, let's meet somewhere," there's no like Big Ben. There's no
LA's
towns.
like that.
No, but you know why? Apparently, Dubai was designed, right? They've designed Dubai. LA was kind of sprawled up, but in Dubai, there's no central square. There's no downtown. There's no any actual centerpiece.
Protests.
Apparently, so that no one can organize a protest and turn up anywhere. So there's nowhere for if you wanted to like go and protest something. There's nowhere for them to protest there anywhere. So they can't have that big kind of thing against the government.
Arab Spring when they had all that and that. You can't do that.
Yeah, exactly.
I was in Egypt when the Arab Spring kicked off. Like when was it? 2012 or something. And I remember like so I was seeing this Russian lassie who lived like she was about maybe a kilometer away, and because they cut up. I mind being in a falafel place and like it was the TV on behind the bar, and I was like, man, what's happening? And they were like telling me there's a protest, but they said, oh, they have this every once in a while. It just fizzles out, kind of thing. And I was like, that looks pretty big and pretty serious. Then they cut off because we're in Sinai, which is obviously a bit removed
I've
from.
been there.
Yes, man, it's dead nice. But they cut off the internet and then they cut off the phones.
Yeah.
So me and this Russian lassie couldn't get in touch with each other, so we had to like leave notes and stuff. And then the banks ran it, and all the tourists went home. They all got like early flights. The guys they put on early flights and stuff. But I stayed, man, because I'm like
You're cheap.
it was nice. Yeah,
Even a country in the midst of civil war is nicer than the UK.
Not having to text your girlfriend love heart emojis is a reason to stay.
But yeah, like the banks ran out of money because they weren't bringing the trucks of cash through the desert because obviously there's a sort of breakdown of I guess law and order and all that.
So what was it like then seeing it did you actually see any of the riots up close or you just watched it on TV?
No, there wasn't any in Sinai, so I saw it on TV. Probably saw less than I would have done if I'd stayed in the UK because I didn't have a TV myself. I was just seeing it when I went to restaurants and stuff.
I stayed in a resort on Sinai and they turned the electric off, or it just went off between like 10 a.m. and 6 p.m. And it was like you just couldn't do anything. I don't know if that was just the bit I was in or that resort did it to save money. Yeah. But I stayed in there right on the Red Sea, but it's fucking hot. It's really hot. It's like the desert, basically. It's a desert. It's a desert.
That's good. That's insightful.
Yeah, I was there when there was loads of shark attacks.
Doesn't exist.
I was there when there was loads of shark attacks, and they banned because, like, apparently what had happened. This ship that was carrying lots of sheep across the Red Sea, like the sheep all died from heat or something. So the guy just like dumped. Obviously, they would have rotted and stunk.
Chummed the wall.
He just dumped them overboard. And then so it was all the sharks go bananas. They drew all the sharks from miles around. And then like so you got all these. They run out of sheep to eat, so then they just go into the shore and start chomping on tourists and stuff. And apparently, like sharks attack people in like just a couple of feet of water. So there was this old guy, like a 70-odd-year-old German guy, who was like taken down. He was like just wading in like waist deep water. So there's loads of people like further out there, proper Jaws stuff. Loads of people further out there who turn around and saw this guy who's closer to the beach than them getting like taken down by a shark. And I mind like because they banned you couldn't dive, you couldn't snorkel. But I was only there for like 2 weeks or something. So I was like, well, I'm gonna fucking snorkel. And so I was going out, but the reef is like a wall. It's not like
it's like going off a cliff, isn't it?
It's like a cliff. So I was like totally shitting myself looking over my shoulder for like sharks.
Well, watch this if you want to see something terrifying. So if you can't see this is a video of a guy on an oil rig. If you're listening to this, he's walked over to the edge of the oil rig. He's walking over and he's now looking at the sea and it's basically empty. So the guy's got like a piece of meat or something and the sea's empty. Now watch this. He throws that one bit of meat in. Now watch this. Look how many sharks out of nowhere turn up in a sec. 1, 2.
Whoa.
Imagine you fell in and then they just keep, and then in a second you'll see how many there are. And you look at that.
What the fuck?
I'm feeding the pigeons.
Yeah.
That's like when you go to like Kew Gardens or something. There's all the like little goldfish in the water.
Yeah. But the thing is, I wouldn't like to work on that oil rig. You fall in it, you're instantly dying.
Why haven't we ever domesticated sharks? It looks like you could, doesn't it? Sometimes they come along and you can feed them like that. It's like after a few generations, you could have like a shark ally.
Shark friend until it turned on you and then ate you.
I hate sharks.
Like a pit bull.
XL shark. Yeah, I was just about to say that's crazy. That's crazy. So back it back. You think the country that's doing well now, which is a good system that's currently working, is Argentina? They're turning it around.
Yeah, and also I think Europe's going to swing to the right, but I don't know if they're going to pick the thing. Is Javier Milei is an economist. He really understands how all the systems work, and he's not like part of some big party that wants to. Has all these like vested interests who need to be paid off. It's like with Starmer, with Labour, the unions pay Labour lots of money. You got green energy barons like Dale Vince pay Labour lots of money. So they all got to, you've got to like make sure any decisions benefit them because you got to pay your masters. So with Javier Milei, he's purely doing it based on like
the maverick.
Yeah, he's a maverick. He's really sort of not too different from Thatcher. What's interesting is the Falklands. He's like starting to make noises that he's going to take the Falklands back. And I'm like, have I got time to move to the Falklands so I'll become an Argentinian citizen? Because I'd rather live under Javier Milei. He's like, I'd rather live under Thatcher than Starmer. I'd rather live under Javier Milei than Starmer.
I always said that all politicians are the same, but this bloke is worse. He does seem the worst that I can remember. I just really don't like him. I really don't.
Starmer's a Joe Lycett sounding fucking. He never got the vote, and now it's the honeymoon period is well and truly definitely over. Like he's already kind of shown his true colors. Like it's funny. It's like used to be you'd say a conspiracy theory, and you'd have to wait like 6 months for it to come true or a year. Now you say a conspiracy theory, and about a week later, it's instantly come true.
It's conspiracy inflation.
Yeah, it's like, well, give us a chance to like revel in it, to let us gloat a second. What do you think about the budget? Yeah, you were saying all your stocks are down. I was driving, so I haven't had a chance to look at it, but it's come out yesterday, right? Or the day before?
Yeah, man, I think a lot of people had a lot of money wiped off the stock market value. Also, Britain as a whole, like, I mean, the pound dropped, and our borrowing costs. It's funny, they brought up this thing, they're like, oh, we need to raise all this money to finance, the public sector and stuff, instead of slashing the public sector, which is the obvious thing that needs to happen. But they said we need to raise all this money. Their budget raised the borrowing costs for the UK. Like, financial markets don't trust the UK to be able to pay back the money as much anymore. So our borrowing costs have risen. So now this budget is costing us even more money. It's like something that was supposed to plug the black hole has instead made the black hole bigger. It's insane, and there's so much stuff in there. Like, they're putting up taxes across the board for like national insurance. They're introducing new taxes on farmers. Farmers are going to have to pay.
I was going to say. Tax. Well, this is a thing. This is part of that. If you want to go down the conspiracy hole, which obviously I do, 2 weeks ago, whenever it was, Bill Gates visited Starmer, and Starmer ran over. I will never do anything to like harm farmers. And now, 2 weeks, the budget's come out. Farmers are going to be taxed, which is going to make agriculture more difficult, which we won't have our own agriculture. So we'll all have to go to big companies.
The reason is, just to sort of explain, people don't get why inheritance tax is bad for a farm. Basically, farms can be worth like 3 million or whatever, but you're not making much money off that 3 million. Like, you've got the big house that's worth a bunch of money, you've got the tractor, combine harvester, you've got all the land, but it's not like, even though the asset value is a lot,
turnover's not high.
The return on that is like maybe 1 or 2% for some farms. So you're making, like, the average farmer salary is 20 grand. It's not like you're making hundreds of thousands of pounds. So if you have to pay a 20% inheritance tax on that, so a £3 million farm, that'd be like what, 600 grand. You're not going to be able to even get a loan because you won't be able to finance that loan. So you'll have to sell it to a big business. You'll have to sell it to a sovereign.
They want to
China, sell it to Bill Gates, and then everything comes under the state. Everything comes under this. We've got this horrible sort of talking about fascism. I mean, like, big businesses, just in step with government, and So Bill Gates is going to own the land. Do you think Bill Gates, do you think a Chinese wealth fund, do you think they give a shit about the fucking community and the land in Britain as much as the fucking people who live there do? Like, they're going to use it for the most lucrative use. They'll use it for carbon offsetting or solar farms or whatever bollocks. And we're not going to have enough food and we're going to starve to death.
Yeah, but that's what they're doing. They are definitely what they want to claw it in. They want to go. Oh, let's make it so that they have to sell the farms or foreclosure, whatever they call it in America, or what do we call it, repossession here. Like you say, it's all a fucking big scam. They want to own all the farmland. They want to own all the resources. So they want to have the energy, the food. What? That's just fucking. I can just see it all coming. Like you said, I have gone right off the deep end since COVID, since the lockdown. But I haven't seen anything that's made me think I'm on the wrong path yet. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I've gone proper conspiracy theorist, but I'm like, oh no, I think I'm getting closer to the truth, not further away.
It's like
That's what it
Darius
feels
says.
like.
It's like the amount of time you got to wait for a conspiracy theory to come true.
It's like you can't even let us gloat anymore. They happen so quick that we can't even gloat about it anymore. It's like they're gonna rig the election. You'll see the media companies will do it.
Yeah.
No, they won't. Here's ABC doing it. Oh yeah, okay, that time. Dominion voting systems don't work. Oh yeah, they do. You're lying. Here's the thing of Dominion's voting system changing Trump to Kamala. Sorry, Mike. And it's always in their favor. And when it happens, like, oh my bad. Oh come on, stop being why we did that for?
Yeah, and it's like it's just simultaneous. Like that's the thing. Keir Starmer, about a month before that got elected, right, was going in Prime Minister's question times. You're a disgrace for even thinking about scrapping the winter fuel allowance. And then, like, it's the first thing he did. It was like the him actually not just saying we won't do it, saying the Tories were evil for even thinking about it. The time between him going from that to doing it was about a month. That's what it feels like. It's insane.
And you know why he's doing it? You know how we were talking about, like left-wing governments bring in lots of immigrants, like the Haitian migrants, put them in swing states to try and like tilt the electoral balance in their favour. It's like Labour bringing in, just keeping the borders open. It's like, yeah. And then they say we're going to move the asylum seekers to, all these places around the country, especially places that vote Tory. So then it's, tilting things in their favour. They're killing off. Old people vote Tory. So this winter fuel allowance thing is killing off Tory. They want to kill off Tory voters. If staying in power means they have to kill thousands of pensioners, they'll do that.
Man, you know what the worst thing for me is? This is what I don't really want to say leftist, but this is the problem with it. Is like everything they accuse the other side of doing, of like being evil, the right, is they do it anyway. Like they're like the winter fuel, like taking that away. Like if the Tories had done that, they'd lose their mind. But because someone's like saying, "Oh, I'm taking away your winter allowance, but I'm not gonna misgender your granddaughter," they're like, "Well, that's fine. Then that's okay as long as she." Do you know what I mean? It's like they refuse to accept what's happening. Like Keir Starmer, just before I forget, he didn't get voted in. Let's be honest, no one voted him in. They wanted to see a difference from the Tories, right? They'd had enough of them. And he's been horrible, like from day one, he's been rubbish. And I think already, even the people who voted Labour, the thing is, the system we live in right now is so rubbish, you can't even have buyer's remorse, because the Tories were basically Labour light anyway, so they weren't really doing much difference. So it was like, oh, we're going to protest that, but he's just so shit. And I don't see how or anything can change, because just when you think, okay, maybe we've turned a corner, maybe they've realized this is like people are onto them, like they double down, and it just doubles down and gets worse and worse and more crazy.
Well, even on a very simple note,
I think the alternative is going to be reform, and I think reform, man, if you look at how they're doing across the country, they're overturning at the local level, like local elections, like mayors and councillors and stuff, they're overturning these massive Labour majorities. And I think every thought reform, and they're just going to take Tories away from, they're going to take Tory voters away from the Tories. They're taking Labour voters away, because Labour used to stand for, basically working class British people and like making their lives materially better, instead of this whole like virtue signaling, oh, we're going to make sure you're gendered correctly and all that sort of bullshit. So, Labour have totally become the party of the sort of urban intellectual milquetoast, the sort of midwit who believes all the fucking socialist garbage. So reform are going to swoop in and take... The next government's going to be reform.
Well, reform got conned anyway.
I feel like the dyed-in-the-wool Labour supporters feel feel like they've been betrayed the most. Actually, I feel like I think like what Labour are doing compared to what they're meant to do seems like a bigger discrepancy. I feel like they seem to have been like, I can see why they're looking to vote elsewhere. They'll never vote Conservative because I think that's just oil and water. But I can see why you're saying that. I can see that if I was a Labour supporter and the things they're classically supposed to do and represent, they seem to have travelled the farthest from their original brief, don't they, Labour?
Yeah. But aren't Reform now somewhat in disarray because they've disavowed Tommy Robinson or something?
Tommy Robinson was never part of them, and
but didn't Farage come out and like just disavow him or say something like what is the like? So I haven't. What is the Tommy Robinson story? Because there was massive protests about that.
Contempt, of course.
So what did he actually do?
So he was found guilty in a civil court, I believe. He was found guilty of defamation because he had a film that made claims about this Syrian asylum seeker who he said had done. I don't know the full story, but he said he'd done
defamation, wasn't it?
He interviewed people who said that this guy had done this stuff, and then the court found against Tommy, and so Tommy was found guilty of defamation and was fined, and that's a civil case, so it didn't come with a criminal penalty. But then because he screened that film again, and it had the people who said these claims. So I mean, it wasn't Tommy saying the things, as far as I understand. It was, but he's responsible for this film that platformed these people saying these things. So I mean, it's something I should really look into, because I'm not, I don't fully trust. I don't trust the courts anymore. So I'm not even sure about this defamation case in the first place. But for Tommy to then get 18 months in prison.
And have you heard what they've done to him in there?
Yeah, man. So he's in Belmarsh.
I've
been in Belmarsh. It's like it's brutal. It's where they put all the terrorists and stuff. Like I saw the weapons they confiscated from terrorists.
I go visit my dad there sometimes.
So what they basically, I think in a nutshell, he got like.
How did you get out again, Darius?
They just let you out.
He got a cease and desist effectively, and didn't cease and desist, and that classes as contempt because you've just ignored it. That's pretty much it in a nutshell.
And
dumb to do. Like it's a stupid thing to do. And if he's wrong, if these claims are wrong, then he shouldn't be repeating them.
But that's the thing, are they? Look at this Southport thing. They're wrong, but then 2 months later they're not wrong. I mean, that's what I'm saying.
But the people protesting in London last weekend or whenever it was, they're protesting because they say this is a freedom of speech issue, or what were they protesting about? Do you know? They were protesting for him. Because there's a big protest for pro-Tommy Robinson protest, but I don't know, I'm out of the loop with that. To be honest, I know more about America than I do about the UK now.
Well, it's interesting. In America, I mean, Tommy Robinson does, he speaks to Jordan Peterson and stuff like that. He's not at all the sort of toxic figure he is in the UK. But I think in the UK, he's become this toxic figure. And, to be honest, I'm not familiar with like all the stuff he's done. But I do know that he started off drawing attention to grooming gangs, drawing attention to mosques that were promoting real hateful ideologies, like the Didsbury Mosque that was just in the news last week. That's where the Salman Abedi, the Manchester Arena bomber, went. But for some reason, the government punishes anybody who, like, if there's a mess, the person who made the mess doesn't get punished. The person who points at the mess and draws attention to the mess gets punished.
Well, that's Julian Assange.
That's where the distrust is coming from, because that's what I'm saying. They're not good at it anymore. It just seems so obvious and heavy-handed and blatant, which makes me think, is that deliberate? Are they trying to cause maximum disruption and division for some reason?
The government's funding some of these mosques, like the Green Lanes Mosque, the Didsbury Mosque, and these are mosques that are put out. They've got preachers saying, "Oh, this is how you should stone a woman to death. This is why you should wage jihad and all this stuff." And it's like, man, that's mad. Why is the government funding these institutions? And also, who does their PR? Can you imagine, anything I've heard Tommy Robinson say is much less inflammatory and insightful than, oh, this is why you should wage jihad, or this is why you should stone women to death or execute gays or whatever. Like, anything he said is much more, aligned with British values than that. So, like, why? I mean, could Tommy Robinson supporters just start, call themselves a religion, and then they're allowed to preach hate. And not that I'm saying they preach hate, but I mean, like,
Sounds like you're saying that.
but how does how is that not hate? How is that allowed? How does that get government funding? And how come you come down like a ton of bricks on anybody who says, wait a minute, maybe this is wrong, maybe grooming gangs are wrong, maybe we should restrict immigration from certain cultures that don't necessarily align with British values.
But we've discussed this loads of times before. This is
Yeah.
from a top down level. Like, Britain should have said, listen, you're welcome to come, you need to integrate, and certain communities have been allowed to not integrate. So you've got these enclaves where, like in the Leicester riots, when it was like, what was it, back like Pakistanis versus Indians or whatever, which is kind of like a sectarian war in Leicester, because they've neither side have been made to integrate. To, like, if you're going to come to a country, you should be, you should integrate properly in the society. So anyway, but we've discussed that many times before.
Get pissed.
Yeah. There's nothing funnier than that.
That should be the test.
Yeah, sort your right out.
Listen, we've been going an hour now. Is there anything else we want to chat about before we go? I've got 4% battery left on my laptop, and I'm recording this. So
I was going to say it's going all choppy on my end. I don't know if it's.
I don't know if that's mine though. I think that's yours.
Yeah, it's going choppy on my end.
Oh, maybe it is mine then. Maybe
How can it be mine and Justin's?
All right, I'll plug my laptop in. Hold on. You guys talk amongst
Why did you not
yourselves.
plug your laptop in?
Because I was risky. I'm lazy, obviously. Because I'm lazy. I'm lazy and.
Watching you set up a podcast recording. Watching you set up a podcast recording is like watching somebody do parkour at the top of a skyscraper.
It was.
Why you got to make it more dangerous?
Because can't do parkour.
Justin was like, "Oh, you're gonna be long," and he scared me, so I didn't have time to plug my laptop in. So I got scared. I wanted to get it on, and now I've got 4% battery, and you've both gone choppy. Okay, that's what's happened. Talk amongst yourselves. I'll plug it in.
Yeah.
I don't know. I was just going to say, it's funny, isn't it, that really, looking back at the Southport stuff and the fallout, the new media, as in like social media and just sort of like independent voices, whoever they are, got it right. The mainstream legacy media were the ones that got it wrong, and
yeah.
I don't know. I just sort of think that's just such a perfect encapsulation of how everything's going. It's like state-sanctioned
I think there's
information.
Yeah, which is what they're trying to like enshrine into law with these misinformation laws and the Online Safety Act and all this sort of stuff. That's going to make any speech that's harmful is going to be illegal. It's like, can you define harmful? It's like, they're like, no, it'll just be anything we don't like, anything that criticises the government. But what's happening with a lot of the legacy media is you got like journalists aren't really journalists anymore. They're activists. They got an agenda. They want to make. They're trying to build this like utopian, socialist paradise. So they'll twist and distort facts and misrepresent things in order to push towards that utopian goal, which they think is a good thing. It's like, we're pushing to this utopian goal. That's why people who are anti-immigration get criticized so much. It's like, but we're creating this utopian multicultural paradise, and so if you say, well, wait a minute, but this woman just got raped to death on a park bench by a Somalian guy, they're like, no, well, that's being racist. Don't look at that. Look at the utopian goal. What about these grooming gangs? No, what, you racist? Look at the utopian goal. What about these girls getting stabbed? Oh, stop looking at that. Look at the utopian goal.
I think lately what I've realised is people that are called or deemed to be right-wing want to interact and legislate for the world as it is, and people that call themselves left-wing want to interact and legislate with the world what they want it to be. So it's like, it would be good if you could leave your door unlocked, but if you do, someone will burgle your house. So one seems to be this kind of like pragmatic sort of like, let's deal with reality, and the other one's, like you said, utopian building. But I guess I've thought that because of Tommy Robinson. I'm surprised if what he's been in trouble for saying turned out to be true. That's just, I'm just like, because I don't know anything about him, but I watched him on that Andrew Gold's Heretics, and that Andrew Gold Heretic guy said to him, he goes, look, I heard you was a racist, so I've done loads of research and I can't find one racist thing you said. Now, I haven't done any research, but he's quite posh. So I'm like, well, but I don't know. But that's weird that he said that.
Also, he's Jewish.
Yeah. So he said to him, he goes, I haven't found one thing you said that's racist. But I don't know. That just goes against everything I know about Tommy Robinson. He's become a euphemism for racist thug, hasn't he? It's just that's what he is. I don't know that he is or isn't. I'm just saying it's weird.
Yeah, maybe I'm sort of scared to do research because I'm scared. Like, I know that if I research Tommy Robinson, I'll find out that he's actually Andrew Gold is right, and then I'll be out there being like, actually, you should know. And then people are going to be like, oh, Leo's a fucking maniac.
No, but that's but then again, I don't know. It's just we live in such a post-truth world that they sort of push that, even the phrase post-truth. It's all deliberate. Yeah. It's like it's like, like manifestation. It's like if you sort of like vocalize something and put it out there, you can make it come to be. And they're doing that with all these negative things. Like, let's just put out this word called post-truth and then just start fucking lying to us and saying, but letting us know they're lying as well. That's what it seems. That seems to be the big psyop of it. It's like they lie to you and go, oh yeah, we're lying. And you go, oh fuck, what? It's just such a narcissistic, abusive thing.
Yeah, and it's to confuse and demoralize you. It's part of the. Like, I saw a thing about how they're going to make communism come about in the West, and part of it is to confuse and demoralize the population, so they don't know what's true. Well, they've already done it. There's this slow march through the institutions. Look at all the universities, all the stuff like BLM. It's all Marxist. It's like you could have a free market economist, making a thing that's like, let's have free markets and make them accessible to black people. But instead, no, it's got to be communism. So all the stuff that comes out of academia is all like there's very few free market people in academia. It's all communist.
I've just had an epiphany. They've completely. That's why they do this guilt thing. It's all the rich white kids that want communism and all the poor kids don't. They've completely made them feel so ashamed of themselves and their privilege, which is just having a decent life. They're now destroying themselves from within.
But the thing is, you know what it is they don't want to give up their I think they think when it's all these like posh white kids, they don't want to give up their privilege. It's always the same, because it's whenever they're almost like, do you want to refugees welcome? Okay, do you want to take a refugee in? Oh, sorry, I can't. I've got a one-bedroom apartment. I've got, my flatmate said no, so it's impossible for me, right? It's never that they under the misapprehension that this communism is going to be just for other people. It will come for you as well. As that facilitating your own demise. And what's crazy is, I remember my mum would go on bang on about this. I thought, oh, she's mad. This isn't happening. And then suddenly everything she's saying is starting to actually.
Who's this?
My mum, right, was telling me like mad conspiracy theories, the communists and all this. I remember a distinct. I thought, oh, she's crazy.
You should get on the pod.
Man, she might be good. She'd be good on the pod, actually. She's got loads of good conspiracy theories. But it was genuinely crazy. And now you see it is kind of slowly happening, and it's the way it's happening. It's like constructed to break down. Like one bit falls over, then the next falls over. And since we've started doing this pod, I don't know about you, it just feels like we went from COVID to Ukraine to Israel. Now we're going into the elections,
Civil War in America,
and the next one's civil war. And those are like 5 distinct eras that are all happening. And at each point, if we go through them, when we were talking about COVID, we were at the time saying, listen, the vaccine shouldn't be mandated, it doesn't work, and it's from Wuhan. That's lies, misinformation. Fast forward to now, all true. Then as soon as that was done, then it went straight into the Ukraine war. And then people like billions are being funneled through the Bidens, as whatever, blah, blah, blah. Then we've gone into the Israel war.
That one.
Well, that's fine. I knew you'd pull me up, so I just quickly went over it. But my point is it's like, it's stage managed, because there's never even a time, not only to like, we don't say, give us a time to gloat.
It's like your breath nowadays.
Yeah, you can't even get your breath into you're something else. Like,
yeah.
Tuesday night or whenever the rally was, Tony Hinchcliffe does the Puerto Rico joke, and it was just a joke, but it wasn't whatever. And of it, then instantly taken out. Oh, this is the most offensive thing. Then Biden, like a legend, comes out and goes, half the population just doing it. But
deliberate.
Exactly, but then that's so quick. The news stories change, but then the other side, like, oh yeah, Biden didn't mean it, and it's not as bad as saying. I don't know. It just seems like it's
The way they present it, like when Tony Hinchcliffe did the joke, they're like, Republican comedian makes horrific joke.
Yeah.
No, they didn't even say comedian though. They said Republican speaker, which is even worse.
Makes horrific, and probably didn't say it was a joke. Republican speaker calls Puerto Rico garbage
island. Yeah.
Accurately, but like, and then when Biden says garbage, they're like, the way they present it is Republican fury at Biden's comments. So like, however they do it, they frame it as if like Republicans are the problem.
Yeah. Well, you got to watch your language.
Because all Biden had to do was be quiet. But now think what you've got. Now you've got all the Democrat supporters. So that think the Republicans are garbage, and all the Republicans, he just shouldn't have said anything. For him to come back, they're only saying people are garbage is bad. Yeah, we all agree with that. You're all garbage. It's so deliberate and getting at each other's throats and divisive.
I reckon he's trying to screw things up for Kamala, though.
I have heard that one, but I think they'd level up. I think they just. The thing is, propaganda's always been a thing, and people think that they're not doing it now. It's just all propaganda, isn't it? Everything.
Yeah. We're 4 days out before the election. But quick question: one, Leo, are GB News going to be doing an election special, and if so, will you be on it? And two, if not, where's everyone going to be watching? Like, we should maybe do a live stream if we can, but where's everyone going to be like following it from? Will you be watching like the BBC, or will you be watching Twitter, or like what? How do you? Or are you not even going to watch it? I think I'm going to watch Twitter, BBC.
I'm going to watch InfoWars. No, I'm not. I don't even know if they're doing it.
If they're still allowed. Yeah, GB News will definitely be covering it. I don't know if I'm on it. I guess I'm not, because I would know by now, because it's on Tuesday.
You're not going to be doing an all-nighter?
What days am I doing next week? If I just check.
Won't they do an all-nighter, though? Like an all-night election special?
So they 4th, 7th, 8th. Yeah, they'll do an all-nighter, but yeah, if I'm on, I might... What day is the 4th? I don't think I will be covering it.
Tuesday, isn't it? Or 4th. Wednesday?
Yeah, so I mean, it depends. So yes, I'm going to be doing Monday, Thursday, and Friday on headliners. But I mean, the election result could actually take a long time to come, and it could be disputed. I'm sure it's all going to be very calmly handled and represented in the media.
And it just seems so fucking convoluted. Just like, we do exit polls. The college thing. What's that called?
Electoral college.
Electoral college. Fox News get to say who's won before we've even counted it. It's just the most convoluted cloak and dagger smokescreen of an election in history. If that was done like that in Russia, everyone would be digging them out. I mean, it's so insane that they just don't just get you to vote and count them.
Yeah, and they're like, we found, and the same thing happened in Germany with the AfD. They're like, the AfD were on course to win. They've won a couple of states, and they were on course to win this state that they weren't expected to win at all. And then they were like, we found a mistake in the counting software. Now we need to take it on. They've just lost by like 0.001%. And it's like, man, don't fucking like that. You never hear reports like that. You know for a fact if the AfD were losing, they wouldn't be digging through the software to find a fucking mistake. It's like they can find errors. Voting should be in the day, and it should be on the date, and it should be a paper ballot. All this stuff with like electronic machines, mail-in voting, all this stuff, man. Like, it's bullshit. It's so
they can go,
much easier to trick.
Yes, exactly. But like I said, they don't even hide it from us at this point. They want us to be confused and know that they're cheating. It's fucking weird what's going on. It's the globalists, man. It's the globalists. One world government. There's been a one world government for a long time, I think.
Team world. That's what Louis Schaefer calls it. Team world.
All right, listen. I think anything else to add before we hit the road?
Yeah, I disavow everything that Justin and Darius said.
I disavow everything.
I'll denounce them at the show trial.
I disavow.
I own it. I own it all. I'll own it.
I disavow and denounce everything I've said and everything anyone's ever said. Don't look to me. I don't even know what I'm talking about. I can't be trusted. I'm a couple of announcements. The Haters Ball is coming to Perth, Australia in the new year. The 10th annual Haters Ball is going to be sick. Come to that. Jussie P, got the Intellectual Abattoir podcast. Anything else you want to promote?
Today with Glenn Wall.
Nice. Was he good? What are you talking about?
He went to America. Well, he's getting divorced. We talked about that. And then he went to America.
Why does he get divorced?
Well, he I can't say, but yeah.
Does he say it on the pod? Oh.
Kind of hints at it, yeah. I think it was a bit of a rug pull, let's put it that way. And he went to America, and he went. Well, anyway, I'll talk about how he did this bit on telly, which was R word heavy. So we talk about that.
All right, that's an intellectual abattoir.
You know, with the R word, like you know how black people are allowed to use the N word.
Renegade.
Yeah.
Well, surely if you're a renegade, you should be allowed to use the renegade word.
I am a renegade.
Reclaim it, Darius. You should.
I will reclaim renegade. I'm a renegade, baby. And Leo, check out Leo's YouTube channel. It's going from strength to strength. Is that everything? Have we covered enough? I think it's been an alright pod. Anything
There's so
you guys
much going on? You can't cover it. It's insane at the moment.
Yeah,
It's like that Willy Wonka scene where they're going through the boat and it all just goes woo, like just shit, and we're never going to come out the other end of this fucking tunnel.
That's mad. Look how nice my teeth look.
Have you had an Invisalign?
Yeah.
Trouble. Are you nearly finished?
Yeah, finished now.
You finished?
Yeah.
So no more. You don't need to wear the things anymore.
No.
What did your teeth
A few
look
years
like
ago,
before?
man, your teeth were so shit they made Nico look straight.
Has Nico got wonky teeth?
No, I mean, sexuality.
He's been. They're not perfect, but I think maybe that's good. If they're perfect, they look too fake.
Yeah, you don't want to go Turkish, do you?
Nah, they're not as.
They're getting close, man. I'd say you're.
They went. My teeth were always quite good. Maybe they can wear these out. They're quite straight. All right. Anyway, on that note, looking at my teeth.
Best thing I ever did was get my hair done.
Oh yeah, that was the best thing you ever did.
Constantine's had his done, hasn't he? Did you see that?
Oh yeah, Constantine's had his hair done.
Right.
The thing is with Constantine, somehow it's more obvious than Leo's. I don't know how. Even though I saw Leo with a skinhead.
You can see the top of his head. Leo's, you can't fucking see it.
No, it's not that. It's because of the sides or something that Constantine's done. He just turned up. You know what it was? You know what it was? It's before Constantine's look. Like, you wouldn't say he wasn't going bold, but he had male pattern baldness, right? So at the end.
Widow's peak, didn't he? And
but that was it.
He's a human widow's peak.
Yeah, that was his look, and it kind of suited him. But now he's changed his hair. Like, it's like Jimmy Carr, same thing. Whereas Leo never had that. He was just going bold all over. So it looks good. It looks more realistic on Leo.
He had everything done at once, didn't he? That's where he went wrong. All of a sudden he turned up looking like a fucking doll of himself.
Yeah. Jimmy Carr's had Botox, hair transplant, this, that, and the other. Teeth. All right, anyway, on that note, thank you. Bye!
Bye!